Okay, so forgiveness is a process that involves the whole person. So, and when we talk about the whole person, okay, what we are talking about, the cognitive capacity, the ideas, the capacity of reasoning. Forgiveness involves the heart, not only the head. It involves emotions and feelings. Forgiveness involves the will, the capacity of deciding. Nobody can be imposed forgiveness. Forgiveness is a free, maybe the most radical free act, because it involves a radical love. And love ultimately is the radical act of freedom. So the will is involved there, our capacity of decision making in personal life and in organizations. Forgiveness involves behavior, concrete behaviors, reparations you have to make, because without reparations, at times, signs of reparation, even if at times it's very, very complicated to reparate, you need to try to reparate as much as you can. Forgiveness involves movement, the feet, the hands, action, the feet as well, movement. And forgiveness has to do with context, where you are. At times forgiveness demands to go to the place where the victim is and say, I'm sorry, and visit. Because forgiveness demands to restore the free movement. Forgiveness is a process of gaining freedom. Freedom related to the past and freedom related to relationships. Those who have been wounded are not free, are caught by walls of a prison. And so forgiveness has to do with the availability, so with being available to move towards the other. And this other, in situations of radical violence, this other is the enemy, the one that I have perceived as enemy. You need to have that freedom to move, to cross borders. You need to be free, to have an open mind, an open heart, an open will, an open action, open spaces, feet to move in open spaces. So to be available to move and to do the next step in the process of healing relationships. There is no forgiveness without this process of opening mind and hearts beyond the borders of violence. The first week I was in a refugee camp in Tanzania, Nduta refugee camp. There was a young refugee who came to me and said, Father, I want to confess, I want to be forgiven. And then in the African way, we went under a tree and we sat down there. And then he said to me, Father, I have killed 3 people. When I was 17, with other people, we killed 3 people from the other ethnic group. Can I be forgiven? I need to feel that I'm forgiven. I want to pass that page, and I want to move to the future and have a life. And then I asked him, what do you think you need to be forgiven, to feel that you are forgiven? And then he was thinking and came with a wonderful answer in my view. He said, look, to gather all the youngsters, young men here in the refugee camps. We have only primary education, so those who should go for secondary education are in the camps without doing anything. They are bored and they do not know what to do, they do not have any future. They live a frustration, permanent frustration, because they do not see any hope. What I'm going to do with them is to call them and to organize a club. A club where our main activity is going to be to serve the vulnerable in the refugee camps. So those sick people, those with AIDS, terminal phase of the sickness in hospitals. We are going to visit those elderly who have their huts broken down. You know, we are going to rebuild for them their huts. We are going to look for them firewood, because there is no gas, electricity in refugee camps. They have to run or to go far away to collect firewood. We are going to collect for them also the water and bring water to their places. And in this way, not only we are going to do good to all these vulnerable people, people in vulnerable situations, what we are going to do also is to give meaning to the lives of these youngsters, that if they do not have any alternative, meaningful alternative for them in refugee camps, they are going to be easy prey of the rebel groups. The rebel groups are going to come here and they are going to offer them, you want a better life? There is no better life unless you take, you know, a weapon in your hands and you come back to fight. If you give here in refugee camps the opportunity of having a life with meaning, and that meaning is service to those, do good instead of to repair the evil that you have done, then I think in this commitment and this service I can start feeling that I'm forgiving. I'm forgiven. What is interesting in this experience, this encounter with this refugee, is that I did not bring clear answers to him. What is really beautiful is that he himself, in place in that context, he found, he could get in contact in that context with his heart, what he really wanted. He really wanted to feel forgiven, to be free from the past, to have a new life. He connected with his emotions, his feelings, his desires. And from there he started reflecting, thinking, discerning how he can move ahead. And he came with a concrete action, with a concrete plan, involving other refugees, young refugees also, in concrete behavior, actions in daily basis, in the refugee camps, in that context. And okay, later on we had also the opportunity of following this group and having periodical meetings where we were also evaluating the results of their action. And there you have a wonderful example of Ignatian pedagogy, context, refugee camp, radical violence, the unforgivable. Is it possible in that context forgive? The desire, the feeling, the pain that this young refugee was feeling because of the evil done in the past, okay, he connected with that pain inside of him, and he wanted to move ahead. He wanted to move ahead, and he used also the force, the strength of that feeling, and to move and to start thinking, using his head in that context, how to move ahead. And he came with a concrete action plan, that he implemented, and he was evaluating every week in meetings of that club of young people who became, I would say, leaders of an alternative way of life in refugee camps. So, and that was a shared leadership, because he developed that program with the rest, thinking every day, evaluating every week, how to implement better and better and better, and how to involve more and more young refugees in that activity. I think that is a wonderful example of, a wonderful step of forgiveness from the perspective of Ignatian pedagogy, Ignatian leadership, that connects with the whole, the involvement of the whole person in social relationships.